live in Studio B alongside Jason Shepard. I am Spencer Linton. This is your day-to-day BYU sports play-by-play. And the man we just featured in that highlight video, Richie Saunders, the heir, King Richie, whatever you want to call him. He's got tons of nicknames now, is back in Studio B. Good to see you, brother.
Thank you. Really good to be here.
How do you feel about all of those nicknames in this tater tot kingdom that you now live in?
I was thinking we were going to say something about that, but it's funny because for like 2 weeks of my life, like that was literally all that was talked about. But I was like, it's been like a month since like tater tots have really been brought up. But
okay, right now in your freezer, how many bags of tater tots do you have?
I don't know if I can say that on air. It could either be really good or really bad. You gotta go next question.
We're showing the Ore-Ida bag with your name, image, and likeness on it. What was that like for you the first time that your image popped up on baking sheets and on Ore-Ida crispy tater tot packaging?
Hilarious. Like, I mean, just for my whole life, we've kind of just joked around with it, but it's so funny to like actually have it be like a real thing or whatever. But it's been a fun partnership, and just again, I think they killed it with the campaign during March Madness and stuff. They killed it. I think it was over 2 billion tapbacks produced from that campaign.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how many people are in the world, but about a quarter of the population of the world was connected to tater tot.
That is unbelievable.
Hilarious. Hilarious.
How long did it take after the season? And maybe it was quick, but before you realized and could actually sort of consume everything that you had accomplished and this team accomplished in that first year, that had to be so much fun, but then looking back like, wow, that was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was so fun. You know, it's funny because it's like a season is so long and there's so many different lives during a season. You know, like just the losses, the big wins, the losses, like it just goes back and forth. But you know, it was so fun to be a part of it, and to, you know, it always sucks to end, but just to be able to make it to where we did and with the people that we did it with was just super fun.
Jason and I were hosting the BYU Fan Fest in St. George on Saturday night when the official news that you are returning to BYU was released. And so several football players, Jake Retzloff and Chase Roberts and Tanner Wall and all these guys, they're all freaking out with happiness because they found out that you're back with BYU basketball. That was a sentiment that obviously the entirety of Cougar Nation shared. But what's the reception been like for you from that moment when it went official on Saturday night to now?
Yeah, I mean, just like you expect with Cougar Nation, like I'm just super grateful to be a part of it. And, you know, I was actually, I hate to say it, but I was actually on my way to St. George Saturday, right when we finally Friday night got to a point where we were like ready to just kind of move forward. But Saturday morning, we posted it on our drive to St. George. Me and my wife posted it, deleted Instagram, and just went on our way and had a quiet weekend.
Did you? Really?
You know, it takes so much. Like, I'm super grateful to have like that, be in that decision time, like with options. Like what a blessing to have. But it's stressful. It was a very stressful. Especially that last week was really stressful. Just trying to put everything, weigh everything, and. But you know, we gotta just focus on like our family is kind of the biggest thing, you know. And sometimes that it gets a little bit neglected throughout all this. But we just put that, deleted Instagram, and went on our way and had a quiet weekend.
You were in St. George while we were in St. George?
We got there Saturday night, so.
You missed the Fan Fest.
Is that right? I don't know exactly what it was.
6 to 8 was the Fan Fest.
Somebody told me about that after.
Yeah. You could have come on Sports Nation and just made it live right there.
You needed the quiet weekend. You made the right decision.
Well, you said that you were weighing things. What are the factors that you were weighing? What goes into making that decision?
Yeah. Again, super grateful to be in that position. You know, just where are we in the draft? Where can we develop the most for this next kind of look at it? Like we sought counsel from a lot of people, but you know, just kind of looking at this 1 year at a time. Like, where can I develop the most in 1 year? And it's so complicated because there was an opportunity there, and that's the hard thing, and that's what it took so long. Is like, you know, right? Like, there's an opportunity to fulfill one of my dreams of playing in the NBA. Like that there was a real opportunity, and just to put that on the shelf, get better and come back here is scary, but like you know, like passing up on an opportunity is scary is what I'm trying to say. But like I couldn't be more excited to work with this team. I haven't met a ton of them. I mean, I've met cross paths a little bit, but I'm excited to really get to know these guys and to play with them, be on the court with them, and you know, I'm super excited to grow and develop and improve my game. And we got such good coaches that know what they're doing here, and yeah, I was grateful to be here.
The always humble and gracious Richie Saunders is on BYU Sports Nation, and I mean that sincerely. You sit in a place now where you mentioned you had multiple opportunities, and you're getting feedback from a lot of different people about what you should do and why you should do it.
Yeah.
What did you hear from your head coach, Kevin Young, and his staff? Because he obviously has a very unique perspective,
totally.
Given his lengthy NBA backdrop, to give you very valuable feedback. So what did you hear from him, and what were you hearing from other scouts in terms of how draftable you were and where you feel like you do need to raise your game so that you can get even better before you go to the NBA?
Totally. I mean, it's such a privilege to have coaching staff that we do. Like, everybody has NBA experience. Like, it's crazy because, like, we had such good conversations with so many of, well, when I say we, me and my wife, like, with my coaches, of just, what does this look like? What does it look like pre-draft stuff? Like, I didn't realize how intense of a schedule it is leading up to the draft. But, you know, as the reception we got is that early to middle second round. And with opportunities to get that lower with doing workouts. That's where the reception with our agent and stuff, it's kind of where we got, and which is, we're so grateful, you know, like that's why this took so long. That's why we did
hard
it
to say no to.
Yeah.
Because yes, there's an opportunity right there, but you know, you just kind of one of the things that one of my coaches said was just look like it's a hard life, NBA life. It's a hard life. It's a privilege, but it's a hard life, and just kind of said just make sure your marriage is where it needs to be in order to take on a challenge like this. And like that was kind of like a waking up moment for us of just like, hey, like there's factors besides just playing basketball into this. And like I got a great wife that we'd make it work no matter what. But that was just a little piece of advice that we kind of gotten that really kind of we sat on, like along with so many different words of advice. But
one of the really cool things I think the NBA has done in recent years is they've allowed players to put their names in the draft, go through some of those workouts, but then have a cutoff date where you can still go back to school. You had that option. You did not do that. Is that because you had basically most of the information that you would have got by doing some of those things right in-house? Did that maybe help you eliminate having to go through that and making the decision? Yeah,
there was a factor in there. Again, like I don't want to, like, when I know what I want to do, I want to do it. You know, I want to just be able to put my head down and work. And so ultimately, like, yes, I believe that I could have gone and have great workouts and got lower in the draft, but you know, like, it's just I didn't know if I don't know if I was done playing here. I didn't know if I was ready when I thought about all the opportunities and the potential for this next year. Like I didn't know if I was ready to give that up, in hopes that I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure the opportunity is there next year. You know, and but like just I don't know if we were ready to move on. It's such a blessing to play here, and I'm loving what's going on, and so we start practice next week, so it'll be good to get to know the guys more, but I'm excited.
Richie Saunders is on BYU Sports Station. Remind me where you were specifically when you were in the taxi cab and you felt the push to come back to BYU last year. Was it Panama?
Guatemala.
Guatemala, okay. So you're in Guatemala and you're in a taxi cab.
Literally a year ago from, I think, last weekend.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. That, like, the timing is almost unbelievable, right? So you're again 365 days later, essentially, in another very, very tough situation, having to make potentially life-altering decision. How did this year's decision process compare to that spiritual premonition, that moment that you had when you were in Central America?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say like the biggest thing was last year felt so much like this was a stressful time, but last year seemed so much more stressful. Mostly because we didn't necessarily want to be in that position. We were grateful that we had the different options, but we wanted to be all in here, but needed to weigh all of our options and see different paths down. But yeah, like this year we just had to keep reminding ourselves, like, this is such a privilege to be in this situation. This is such a privilege to be able to make the decision of playing at BYU or playing in the NBA. that's a cool, like, we had to keep reminding ourselves that, because you know, it's easy just to get caught up in all the stress, and, but to get above and see everything.
This is probably an unfair question to ask right now, because you mentioned you've got practice that won't even start till next week. You've mentioned, you know, you're still trying to get to know some of these new guys, but you know the type of talent that's coming in. Now, there's a big change in personnel from last year's team to this year's team, but when you think about what this team can do this year, what gets you excited about this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have a better answer in a few months, but you know, like, there's just such high-level people that are going to be in the gym, which helps everybody, and that's part of the reason. Like, I mean, that definitely went into our decision of just like, look, like we can get better, and we can improve, and I don't know exactly what it looks like 8 months down the line, but like I'm super excited to be a part of the team, and I don't ultimately get to a good spot in the season. I know it's there.
From a personal skill set standpoint, where do you feel like you can get better and more NBA ready while staying at BYU with Kevin Young and company?
Yeah, just two things. One is like my ability to come off ball screens. Just something that I haven't done a ton, but started to do a little bit at the end of the year, just because they kind of were all about my business. But you know, like, I just had to find some way to counter that, and that's one of the things we've talked about is just being able to make the right read out of ball screens. And then I'd say guarding a quick twitch guard is like another one of those big things. Kind of the way the season ended up, I had to guard more some of their format a little bit, which is just not necessarily what I do a ton, but just become better at ball screens and perimeter defense.
And as a follow-up, Kevin Young has been very, very outspoken about your development specifically, and how much enjoyment he has taken in working with you and seeing that happen and come to fruition. We've heard a lot from him about that. Frankly, I don't know if we've heard a ton from you about how you feel like your decision to come back last year and play for Kevin Young developed your game.
Yeah, I mean, it 100% did. I spent so many hours with John Linehan in the gym. It was kind of my skills coach or whatever. But you know, with through the direction of KY, right? But you know, like there's just so much time and detail that goes into time and attention that goes into like improving. And I just love how with just with the coaching staff, I can step in and get a clear plan and clearly execute. You know, it's like, again, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I just like to put my head down and just have a plan and just attack it. And it's honestly, it's easy to do that here because we just have direction and we roll with it.
We ate tater tots on Monday, by the way, on the show.
Awesome.
Like, we didn't know we were going to get it, but the show started and they literally delivered us tater tots in your order. So it was headbands last year, it was tater tots this year.
Like, we gotta get a combo of that.
Yes, we got to make that happen, Chef.
We got to make it happen. Let's make it happen. Any fun things this summer? You going into vacation? Talked about Guatemala last year. You do anything this summer?
Yeah, I mean, the big one is doing some youth camps in Tahiti, actually.
Wow.
So that's in July. You know, me, my wife, and a couple of our friends are planning on going there. And I actually went when I was in high school for a similar reason, and it was just incredible people, incredible culture. So super excited to do that. I mean, basketball, right, has changed my life and has given me so many opportunities. And so we're just trying to figure out how in the world can we, like, help people find something like basketball, and just to give them direction in life and give people like something to work towards, like it did for me and my wife. So we're trying to figure out how to do that with, and this is one of those ways, is by doing kids camps. I think we're going to do some local, but you know, that's kind of the first thing on our schedule. But I'm sure hopefully there'll be some other small trips. but yeah.
Very nice.
Richie, great to have you in studio.
Thanks,
Richie.
The definition of a guy who is easy to root for.
100%.
You kidding me? You kidding me?
The cheers at the Fan Fest when we announced you were coming back, it was pretty impressive.
I appreciate it.
They were excited.
King Richie on BYUSN. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.